Namaste. Before we begin today, I want to make a promise. Stay with me through this entire video, and I promise something is going to open up in the way that you see yourself in this world. Here's what that you're going to walk away with. You will understand the 4 states of consciousness. You will understand Turiya, the 4th state of consciousness, the ground of all experiences, the one the Vedic sages called the only true experiential reality. You will know who the Paramahamsa masters were and how they moved through this world in complete freedom. And I'll give you a practice, one practice drawn from the Vedic tradition that will begin shifting how you carry yourself through every single day. This is deep, ancient, and when it lands, you will never see your fears and worries the same way again. So, let's begin. To understand the Turiya state of consciousness, which is the 4th state of consciousness, I need to give you the complete picture, the context. The Shiva Agama, among the oldest and the most advanced text in the entire Vedic tradition, describes 16 states of consciousness. 16. The inner landscape of human awareness is that vast. It's that amazing, extraordinary. But today, we work with 4 main states of consciousness, the 4 states that we move through every single day. The ones you can recognize in your own experience. So, the first state of consciousness is called Jagrat, the waking state. The one we are in right now. Eyes open, mind engaged, world fully present around you. We are seeing, hearing, perceiving, thinking. We are reacting. We are planning. But this is where almost all human suffering takes place. Because in the waking state, the mind is completely absorbed in the content of the external world. And when you are that absorbed in everything around you, you forget you are the one witnessing it. The observer disappears into what is observing. The second state of consciousness is called Swapna, the dreaming state. The body rests, and yet an entire world appears within you. People, places, events, all kinds of emotions, all completely vivid, all completely real, while you're inside it, until you wake and you forget, and it dissolves. It was made entirely of mind, consciousness projecting onto itself. The third state of consciousness is called Sushupti, deep, dreamless sleep. In this state of consciousness, there is no world. There is no thought. There is no story. No sense of self, even. Simply rest. And yet, when you return from that state, we say, I slept so deeply, I slept so well, restful, which raises a good question. Who was present to notice that? Something was aware, even in that complete absence of experience. Something was there, even when nothing was there. That something is the doorway to everything that we're about to enter. So these were the three states of consciousness that all of us, even most animals, go through. We discussed the waking state, dreaming state, and the deep sleep state. But notice all of them are changing. They're temporary, all dissolving into one another. So the Mandukya Upanishad, which is one of the most deep thinking texts in all of Vedanta, it makes one observation that kind of makes you think. Nothing that comes and goes, it says, can be true, can be your true nature. Nothing that changes can be your true nature. Everything is changing. So, what is constant? What was present through that waking state, through the dreaming state, and even during the deep sleep state? Now, we are getting into the fourth state. Turiya state of consciousness. It's the fourth state of consciousness. The ancient teachers were precise about what this is. Turiya is the ground upon which all three states appear. The awareness that was always there, underneath everything. Let me give you an image, because I think once this settles in you, it will stay for the rest of your life. So imagine you are in a movie theater. It's a dark room, comfortable seats. The film is playing on the screen. The story, drama, conflict, love, loss. And while you're watching the movie, it absolutely feels real. Your heart beats faster when there's emotions. You are fully inside the experience. But behind you, there's a projector, light passing through a reel of film, landing on the screen. That is where every single image shows on the blank screen. Every character, every scene in the movie, every fight, every threat. Light passes through the projector, landing on the screen. That's Jagrat, the waking state. The waking state is a film playing. Swapna, the dream state, is also the film playing. Same screen, maybe a different reel, maybe a shorter movie. But it's just as vivid until the reel changes. Sushupti, deep, dreamless sleep, is when the projector is switched off, the screen goes blank. And Turiya is the screen itself, the foundation. When you think about this, the screen does not get affected in any way, shape, or form when there's violence in the film. It is unchanged even when the building burns in the movie. The screen holds everything, contains everything, makes everything possible. And it remains completely itself throughout the whole movie. The screen can be an example of the Turiya state of consciousness. It's not affected by the violence and emotions in the movie. Sri Ramana Maharshi, who was one of the greatest Vedic sages of the modern era, he expressed it this way. Turiya, he said, is not a fourth state. Turiya is what underlies the other three states of consciousness, and it's the only experiential reality. Turiya state of consciousness is the most awake that you can possibly be. It is a screen recognizing itself as a screen. And while the film continues to play, when you realize that the Turiya state of consciousness, and you can practice this until it becomes an embodiment of your mind. There are practices. You'll experience the world differently, as free as you possibly can, while you're still fully alive, still fully engaged, still meeting your responsibilities. And beneath all of it, there is something that does not shake, something that witnesses, something the film cannot reach. And the Vedic sages called this Sakshi. Sakshi, the witness. And that witness is what you truly are. Now we're going to talk about collective fear. And I think here's where the real conversation begins. The waking state, Jagrat. The waking state is a shared experience. That means every human, every culture experience it. That's why we all experience the world right now the same way. We watch the same news. We know what's going on in the world. It's a shared experience. For example, the war in Iran is going on right now. We all know at the same time. Everyone must go to work. Everyone must pay taxes, pay bills, pay for everything we buy. This is a shared experience in the waking state. And so, we call it reality. And what is shared in it is a program, a collective agreement about what reality is, what you should fear, what you should want, a collective agreement of what is possible for you. But this agreement was built on fear, on the most ancient instructions embedded in human biology. Survive, conform, keep the herd stable, keep the tribe protected. And so, when you begin to awaken, when you begin to question the nature of the film, the people around you will resist it. You have felt this, I'm sure, when you try to change your beliefs, when you change your perception of reality, when you begin operating from a deeper place of consciousness, and there's an immediate resistance from the tribe. They want you to return to the familiar. They want you to return to what we have all agreed upon. And if you fight, if you hold the ground, if you change your perception of reality, they attack you. They call you a mad person, psychotic. They call it instability. They certainly would suggest some type of medication that will most likely sedate you, most likely put you to sleep. Because you are threatening the ego's foundational story. The ego survives only as long as the movie is real. The moment someone near them begins living as though the movie is simply a movie, just a film, projecting something in the collective, will fight you. If you're right, everything they organize, their entire life around, begins to dissolve. Everything they believed becomes meaningless. In India, before Western materialism arrived and rebranded Hinduism or Sanatana Dharma as a superstition, remember I mentioned that in order to force their beliefs on you, they must first devalue the opponent's beliefs. So during pre-colonial times, the yogis, the mystics, the Paramahamsa, those who operated from Turiya consciousness, they were revered. They were sought after. They were trusted with the deepest questions of the community. Because in those days, people understood that this person has gone through this illusion, gotten over this illusion, and that is the rarest and the most precious thing a human being can achieve. Talking about people who live in the Turiya state, there's a title in the Vedic tradition which is given to the rarest order of realized being. And they're called Paramahamsa. It's a title. Para means supreme. Hamsa means swan. The supreme swan. Paramahamsas are people who have completely detached from the mass consciousness, but still operate in the world with a detached mindset. You see, they are called the supreme swans because Because in the Vedic tradition, there is an ancient understanding that the swan possesses a unique ability. A swan has the ability to separate milk from water. When you give a swan a mixture of milk and water, the bird can drink only the milk. The bird separates what is real from what is appearance. It's a natural ability to separate milk from water. That image is a complete description of being living in Turiya state, fully present in the world, fully engaged in life, and in every moment able to separate the real from the projection, separate the screen from the film. Now let's talk about the practice. So how do you actually live this? Live in Turiya? See, there's an ancient Sanskrit word called Leela. Leela means divine play. The Vedic sages said that this entire creation, every experience, every relationship, every struggle, every triumph is God's Leela, is God's play. And they were pointing at something very profound. That the highest way to live in this world is the way a great actor lives on stage. Think about this. A truly great actor step onto the stage and they feel everything. When the scene calls for, say, grief, they grieve. Real tears, real pain. When the scene calls for joy, genuine joy rises in them. The performance is authentic. The emotion is authentic. And yet, underneath all of it, there is a part of that actor that never forgets that they're on stage. The knowing, the background awareness. And it holds the performance without being lost in it. And when the curtain falls, nothing that happened on that stage has changed. If you notice, two things happened simultaneously. Full authentic experience acting on the foreground and steady awareness in the background. That is Turiya in daily life. That is the double awareness. And here's where this becomes more than a meditation technique. It can become a way of being. If this world is a stage and you are the actor who has woken up to the fact that it is a stage, then the question becomes, what kind of character are you going to play? You have that choice. You see, every enlightened being who has walked this earth has said a version of the same thing. the light. Jesus said it, Krishna said it in Bhagavad Gita. Be the one whose presence lifts the room. And here's the beautiful thing. When you carry that background awareness, you become free to play your role with complete generosity. You're no longer protecting the self, a self that is threatened by what happens in the performance. You're no longer acting from fear. You are free to become the most luminous version of the character that you came here to play. So here's the practice. And you must carry this into every space, into every conversation, every ordinary moment of the day. In the morning, before the day begins, take a few breaths and set this intention. Today, I am both the actor and the witness. I will feel everything fully, and I will remember what I am underneath all of it. This is the foundation. And as you move through your day, whatever the scene requires, be in it completely. In a difficult conversation, be present. Speak honestly. Feel what you feel. In a moment of joy, let it land fully. In a moment of pain, let it move through you. This practice is full, authentic presence, with the knowing that you are the one in whom all of this is appearing. And whenever you feel yourself being completely pulled under by emotions, ask yourself, who is watching this? One question. And the background awareness comes forward again. The screen recognizes itself. The actor remembers that he or she is on stage. And then choose the quality of the character you are playing. See, every Paramahamsa, every realized sage, they did not become a weak shadow of themselves. They became more present, more alive, more luminous. Because when you're no longer consumed by the performance, what emerges is your highest expressions. So choose it consciously. Be the one who brings calm into an anxious room. Be the one who listens deeply when everyone else is waiting to speak. Be kind with the confidence of someone who has nothing to prove. Be generous and know that you cannot be diminished by giving. Be the light. This is the natural expression of a consciousness that has remembered what it is. When you know you're the screen, then you stop competing, you stop defending, and something begins to radiate. Something that has no name, but that everyone in the room can feel. That's what every Paramahamsa walked with. The world is a stage. The feelings are real. The love is real. The work is real. The relationships are real. And underneath all of it, you are the screen. Play your role from that place. Bring your whole self to every scene and let the character that you inhabit in this lifetime be the most beautiful, luminous version that you're capable of. The divine witnesses its own creation from a place of stillness, fully present to every storm, every moment of beauty. The divine witnesses it in calm, with unshakable peace. That stillness is you right now. It has always been you. Namaste.